welcome to the very first episode of the Keepin It Pinned motorcycle podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Owen, and this is a podcast all about how motorcycles have shaped our lives.
Yeah, so basically we have got a bit of a YouTube channel somewhat together.
Yeah. It's coming together.
Yeah, it's coming together. We've put out one episode that came out yesterday, actually, our very first one. Our very first one with both of us on camera, or either of us, should I say. I think it went all right. We took a bit of a trip up to see our good friend Griff at AP Workshops.
We did indeed. He's a good man, Griff. Very good man.
He is a very good man, and he sorted us out with, I suppose we ought to talk about what bikes we got. So I, at the moment, have got two bikes. I've got a little 250cc Chinese thing, I think is probably the best way to describe it. I'm doing a bit of a build series on at the moment that you're hopefully going to be seeing on the channel at some point, of turning it into a bit of a cafe racer. So it's a Pulse Adrenaline 250 that I am doing a bit of a build on. My other bike is a 2003 Gen 1 Aprilia RSV 200, I think is its official full name. And yeah, when we took our trip to see Griff, he specialises in these bikes, which is obviously quite convenient because, Owen, obviously you've got a very similar bike as well.
I certainly have. So my latest purchase is a 1999 RSV Millie that I bought as a cheap track bike project.
This is basically word for word what you said in the video. That's good. It's
to
descriptive.
Go and do some track days with these boys and shit.
And shit being the key bit. If you see the video, you'll get that reference.
Yeah.
I suppose you ought to say the name of the YouTube channel is it's Regular Traffic Productions. So yeah, if you fancy going and checking that out at any point, please do head over to the channel and see what you think. You can see our beautiful faces.
Like, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Mm-hmm. Like this if you like this.
Like this if you like this. Right, we've got a few prompts here in front of us. What I will say is obviously this podcast, it is, you can probably tell, we're not the most natural at this. This is our very first episode. We're going to see how we get on. The long-term plan for it will be, we'll hopefully be doing a semi-regular update, just a little meet-up, a little see how we get on. We'll talk about our bikes, what we've been doing. Yours is a bit of a project, I think, fair to say at the moment. So hopefully we'll be getting catch-ups on how yours is doing, and how you're progressing with it. And yeah, like I say, hopefully come summer, come riding season, we'll have a couple of actual stories to tell on how we've been getting on. Record for that, which we'll get onto a little bit later on.
Don't know what you're talking about.
So we'll see what comes of this. Hopefully we'll also have some guests on in the future. We've got a few people that have shown a bit of an interest in coming on. I don't know why. We're idiots, and why anyone would want to come on this, I don't know. I suppose none of them have heard it yet, so that's probably, they might all change their minds. But yeah, some interesting people that we've got lined up, so definitely stay tuned and see if that ever happens. Now, Owen, I'm going to kick this off with a question for you, I think.
I'm listening.
So, okay, we'll start at the very beginning. Do you remember what it was that first got you into bikes?
I do. It was back in college. I was studying electronic engineering, and one of my classmates at the time, who is now a good mate of mine, he had a Honda CG125, I believe it was, and I thought it was just the coolest thing in the world. And I remember getting on the back of it one day and just doing some laps around Ipswich.
Twat laps, as we used to call them.
Twat laps, as we still call them.
Yeah, still call them.
And yeah, I thought, you know what, this is incredible. Like, this is freedom right here.
So how old would you have been at that point then? You were at college, you say, so what, 16, 17 was that?
Yeah, it would be about 16, 17. And up until that point, I'd never been on a bike before. So sat pillion on that in my jeans and my hoodie from college, and some
classic
cheap old helmet, and
was it your helmet, or was it a
gloves.
Spare one that was?
I think that was a spare helmet that
was
Ryan
lent to you
had.
for the day, was it?
Yeah, it was lent to me. It was probably a bit too small for my big head, actually. So we squeezed into that, and did some laps around Ipswich, and I thought, you know what, this is incredible. And I think it was probably a year or two after that I thought, I mean, at this point I was hooked on it. I was like, this is for me. And I started to look into getting my bike license, and I did my bike test, my A2 license, with somebody that I went to college with as well at the time. Did that in Ipswich at Cam Rider, which an Ipswich-based motorcycle.
Yeah, Cam Rider training, where I did my
Yeah.
CBT and my A2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good company. Would
Very good
recommend.
company, very good people.
Definitely. And yeah, my dream bike. Well, originally I was looking at a Yamaha R3.
Okay.
I was set on a Yamaha R3.
I didn't realise they were even out then.
Yeah.
I suppose they were a fairly new bike at the time, were they? When you were first
They were.
looking?
Yeah, they were pretty much had been out in the last year or two, I think.
Okay.
That was my first thought, and then I thought, do you know what? I think I can stretch to something a little bit more than that. And I was thinking about longer term, and so I ended up setting on an MT-07.
Which, again, might be another topic for a little bit later on, but not necessarily people's first choice for a motorbike. A great choice, I must add, but not necessarily people's first choice. So you must have been 19 at this point then, so that would have been on your A2 licence, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. That was on the A2. And yeah,
you skipped the whole CBT stage. You skipped all of the getting a moped at 16. That was never on your radar initially.
Yeah, skipped all of that. Wasn't it until college, and I sat on the back of that Sonda 125. Bikes weren't even on my radar, I would say.
So no one in the family into bikes, nothing like that would have prompted you any sooner. That was literally your first.
Well, I say that. So my grandfather, he had always been into bikes. He's had quite a variety of bikes actually over the years. He had a Royal Enfield that sat in our garage at home for quite a few years.
Yeah, I saw that a lot of times, and I don't think I ever saw it turn a wheel.
Yeah, and it did actually get out, and it is now owned by somebody else. And hopefully, I don't know if it's on the road these days, but I know that it did get running. And he also had a Honda, is it Super Cub Honda
Super Dream?
Super Dream.
Super Dream was a little 250.
Super Dream
yeah.
250.
Oh, great.
250 twin, which he rebuilt from the ground up, and that was an absolute shed when he bought it. And he stripped it down, nut and bolt restored it, and sprayed the tank and everything like that, and it was immaculate.
Oh, great! I don't think I ever realised that. But so seeing all of these bikes coming in and out, having it in your garage, again, never really enough to make you think, oh yeah, this is a bit of me. It was that ride on that 125.
I think so. Yeah, I thought these are cool, but I think until you've actually experienced it and sat on the back of one, I don't think for me it didn't quite click.
Didn't get hold of you.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
I appreciated it, but it was that actually, getting on it in that sort of, what I think is what I can only describe as a feeling of freedom for me.
I was about to ask, is that what you got from it from that first time? You were driving a car at that point though, weren't you?
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel the same as being on the bike in the open air. I suppose probably a little bit of weaving in and out of traffic, getting through in Ipswich, you know what it's like, getting through some of the stationary vehicles, and that feeling of, it's like a kid being on a BMX again, and it being able to pedal around and go wherever you want, and the rules don't really apply to you. I think is probably a lot of people's, at that sort of age, a lot of people's mentality towards bikes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, absolutely just riotous around Ipswich Town Centre. But do you know what? That was part of the fun of it, was that kind of risky element. And just winging it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I was hooked from that point. So passed my A2 in 2017. And I purchased that bike in December of 2016.
Okay.
I drove down bought it in London with my dad, and it was delivered. I couldn't ride it at the time it was delivered, and it was sat in the garage for a few months, just where I was just like tinkering on it and obsessed with it, but I couldn't do anything with it. And that first ride, I remember getting out on it, and it was just absolutely incredible. I was hooked on it. So it was A2 restricted at the time.
Your Honour.
Your Honour. Your Honour. Your Honour.
No, it was, wasn't it? It actually was.
And it was for the entire 2 years of my A2 licence.
We might have some stories on that a bit later on as well. I seem to remember a few times we went out for a ride, and maybe the bolt holding the throttle restriction in place may have fallen out a couple of times, let's say.
I didn't Loctite it.
Didn't
Was the
Loctite
trouble.
it. What can you do?
You know,
It's one of them things.
Rookie mistake, but
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
yeah. So from that point, I absolutely loved it, and myself and Ryan. So Ryan, the guy who had the 125, he ended up getting a Honda Hornet 600.
Yes, I remember it well.
Yeah, which
Proper cool little bike here. A proper screamer, that was.
proper screamer.
I think that was probably my first experience of being around a proper inline four, I think.
Yeah, and again, that was another bike that I think he got that, if I remember correctly, before I got the MT, and I was like, this is it.
So that's the deal for you.
Let's seal the deal. You know, the 125 was cool enough, and then you went and got the screaming inline four, and I was like, yeah, this is absolutely it. Yeah, I have some good memories being sat on the back of that pillion, and at the time it was still a restricted bike, but it was a massive upgrade from the 125, and I remember I think, do you know what? I think we went out on Christmas Day 2015 or 2016 because the roads were absolutely...
No, I don't like being pillion at the best of times. That sounds like a nightmare.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
And that was it. And the roads were so quiet, and we went out just for a quick hour blast, and, you know, sticking to legal speeds of probably no more than 30 miles an hour. Because what else would you do?
Law-abiding citizens.
Law-abiding citizens, Your Honour. And yeah, again, was absolutely hooked. So got the MT, got that on the road. Ryan and I would just out constantly most weekends after work. In the weekends, you know, we're going to all around quite a lot of Suffolk. You know, we didn't stretch too far to begin with. Yeah, you know, kind of got ourselves into it, but you know, it was just a feeling of freedom that the car didn't give me. And you know, I think we knew at that point that we were probably going to be hooked on it for life. So
yeah, because that's one thing that we seem to get. So if we have any listeners from overseas, the way that our licenses work over here at the moment is when you're 16, you can ride anything up to 50 cc's and a certain horsepower. I can't remember what it is, on a CBT license they call it. When you're then 17 on the same license, 17 and 18, you can ride a 125 still on L plates. And then 19, you do your A2, which is your restricted version of a full license. You're restricted to 47 horsepower, or a bike of a larger capacity restricted down to that. And then at 21, if you've had your A2 for 2 years, you can go and do a full license, or if you want to do direct access, so jumping straight into your full license, that's at 24. So what you find over here is a lot of young lads seem to get their licenses, their CBTs at 16, and they'll ride around on a moped for a little bit, maybe a 125 once they're old enough before they pass their car test. But then as soon as people jump in cars, that seems to sort of end a lot of people's bike lives.
yeah.
Not lives.
But the passion for it for some people goes.
Yeah, exactly, because we you know, it's understandable. I'll be honest, I've fallen very much into the fair weather rider category of bikes at the moment, but you know, you get in a car, it's comfortable, it's warm, you're a lot less exposed to the elements and to the dangers of just being on the road anyway. So yeah, you know, you can understand why people do it, but for you, that was the other way around. Like I say, you got that something from not being confined into that space and not having that comfort necessarily. Yeah,
absolutely. For me, bikes were never just a mode of transport, you know, and I think that's where, for some people, the journey with bikes ends, is it becomes their first mode of transport, and then they get a car, and then that's it. For me, it was a toy, you know, primarily.
Yep.
It was something to get out on and escape life.
Yeah.
You know, and
it can take your mind off. Again, I'm sure any bikers that are listening to this will be able to relate. It can take your mind off any other dramas, and nothing else really matters when you're in that environment, does it? That's just takes everything away from it, which is wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. It was a sense of freedom, being out in the open, you know, and you're kind of exposed to the elements, and the sense of speed, and there's adrenaline in there, and, you know, just the wind, and it sounds so, you know, ridiculous, but like just the forces acted on your body, you know, it is addictive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very corny, but yeah, absolutely. That is, again, I don't want to keep saying it, but everyone that has ever ridden a bike, I think, will feel that. And anyone, especially once you start getting into your bikes that aren't just your 125, it's not just a moped to get you around. Once you start getting something and you find a bit of a passion for it, a bit of an interest in it, I think that takes everyone in that same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you've got a group of people as well that, we were lucky to have, look, we wouldn't be speaking today to each other if it wasn't for meet each other through bikes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is how we know each other.
A massive social element of it. I mean, again, we didn't meet each other until a little bit later on at this point. Although Ryan did have his Hornet, but I think that was you'd maybe already been riding on for a year or so on the road, I think, at this point when we met. But yeah, we had a sort of a similar group of friends. We all met each other. We had a bit of were you there on our 1st of May meetup?
I missed the 1st of May. Oh, you missed
this. This is an event that I put on when we were in college. Of course, because I was on a 125 at the time. And it's a little bike / car meet because I've always been interested in anything 2 wheels or 4 wheels. And yeah, we put on a little event where we met up at Alton Waters, which is, again, Ipswich based. And that's where I first met another friend that we have in common, Dan Gregory. He came on his, Suzuki GN, a little GN 125. And I think he was then friends with Ryan. He introduced Ryan to the rest of us, and that's how we all got to meet each other. And yeah, like you say, the social element of it, we were out, even though I had a car at the time, we were out every single day near enough. I'd take my bike into college. I'd choose that over the car any day of the week. And we'd be meeting up. We'd be going for rides. We'd be riding over to McDonald's. It was terrible for my for my health because I used to just stuff my face with McDonald's every night because we used to.
What's changed?
Very true. It was convenient. It was right there. We'd be out for a ride. It was quick. We'd go and do that and then carry on riding and go and try not to get ourselves in too much trouble.
And we never did.
Do you know what? That is one thing that I will say for both of us. We've never been in trouble with the law. Through bikes, at least.
We've not.
I'm not going to speak for anyone else with anything else. I don't know about you. I haven't, because I'm obviously an outstanding citizen. Law-abiding citizen. Your Honour. I've never got in trouble with the law.
No, likewise.
And I've never been pulled over. I've never been done for speeding. Never sped anywhere. Sped. So how would I?
You can't be done for speeding with a sped.
No, of course. But like I say, it was just a big social event, basically, and just a lovely place to meet new people that have something in common with you and share a common interest. Yeah,
absolutely. And, we've formed a group of mates now, which, we can only hope for life, right? Like,
I don't know if some of them I could do with doing away with, really.
Kick a couple of them out. Yeah.
We'll talk about that off pod.
Yeah, but yeah, no, the social element is massive, and it is a community motorcycling, absolutely. Not just us guys, you go out for a ride on your own and you can meet other bikers and get talking, and
yeah, you pull up at a cafe or a pub or just a car park in the middle of nowhere, and you just, oh, hello mate, nice bike, and then that can go in so many different directions. And I've met a lot of different people just through saying hello, I like your bike, sort of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've met quite a few people just out and about, and everyone in the community is so friendly. I made friends, just through that as well, and it's part of it. I think is looking out for each other, looking out for if you see it's a bit cliche, but if you see a stranded biker, a biker's always going to, like to think there's always going to be someone that will, look out for you and stop. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if I'm in the car now, or the van, should I say, it's always, if I see someone that might be in trouble on a bike, I'll always stop and just say, look, do you need a hand? Do you need a lift anywhere? Can I help you out? And it is that community, I suppose. I've had the same thing happen to me before, where I've been in trouble. Again, with quite a lot of my bikes have been
never broken down.
They've been in the lower budget, should we say, because I have no commitment to motorbikes. I just chop and change them all the time.
I'm a
free bird. I'm a free bird that's bought a lot of shitters. So I have ended up breaking down quite a lot. And again, there's always been someone that's pulled over, and every time they've spoken to me, it's always turned out that they're into bikes as well.
Yeah. And you always get yourself out of whatever situation you're in, right?
Yeah, find a way.
Look, I look forward to going through some of those stories of your past.
Yeah, there's plenty of
Projects.
them. Yeah, projects, plenty of. I think we worked it out a little while ago. I'm within my first 5 or 6 years of riding, I'd gone through 30 different bikes.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
It's
which
absolutely
you
insane.
are, I would argue, the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Your MT that we were talking about earlier, you've had that for, well, since you passed your test, haven't you? You've still got it today.
I've had it since 2016. Yeah.
It's been through some stuff.
It's been through some stuff, if we can call it stuff.
You can call it stuff.
You know, it's had some things done to it. It's
Yeah, intentionally or otherwise.
intentionally or otherwise. You know, we've grown together. We've won together. We've lost together. Put it that way.
Through the highs and lows.
Through the highs and lows of life. But do you know what? And that's actually a valid point. Is that bike has got me through some of the highs and lows of life. Like, and you know. Look, things happen in life, right? But like, I've always bonded, and I think that's one of the reasons why I hold on to that bike, is it has provided me an escape from whatever goes on in life, and it's such a fun bike to ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very jealous of that bike. It is, I think, arguably the best all rounder. I think I would probably say, if someone was looking for what is the best bike, you can do distance on it. You can be a bit of a hooligan. You can do some wheelie. Oh, Your Honour, I would never, but some people might go and do some wheelies. It's plenty quick enough for what you need on the road.
If I could.
Equally, you've taken yours on track a handful of times as well.
Yep. Yeah, more than capable on track, that bike.
Once again, with mixed results.
Mixed results. We could say mixed results.
Should we talk about, not our last incident on track, our last outing on track, should I say, but the one before, where we had a bit of a wet day, didn't we?
We did have a slightly wet day.
Actually, I say that. 6 of the 7 sessions were dry, and we got very lucky with it. And then the last session of the day, it started raining, didn't it?
It did, and I thought I'd go and get some wet practice in.
Yeah.
Because, hey, look, if you don't try, you'll never know.
Well, quite. And I'm glad I don't know, because I decided that I was done for the day. I thought, I've had 6 good sessions. That'll do me. I've had my money's worth. I'm going to push the bike in. I'll get it loaded up. And you said, I'm going to go out and do a few laps. Which I thought, fine, brilliant, good for you. You were the only one out on track, weren't you? You were the only one stupid enough.
I was the only one with the lack of adhesion flag in full swing.
Yeah.
Marshall's staring me down like, are you sure, fella? Are you sure?
Which you were. You were very confident. In fact, you went out and you did. I stood at the pit entrance at Snetterton, and I watched you go past a handful of times. I did actually think, oh, should I be out there? Should I be enjoying this with him? And I saw you go around a few times, and then I saw you pull into the pits, and I came up to you and said, is that it? Are you done? And what were your famous words?
Jamie? My famous last words.
You said, I'm going to go out and do one more lap.
Just one more lap.
Just one more lap.
I said it. I said the phrase. That was all it took.
And that was the crucial mistake. That's where it all went wrong.
And that was the end of that.
I saw you disappear off, up the pits again, out. I heard you with that classic MT sound and your lovely sounding quick shifter. And then I thought, okay, he's gone a little bit quiet, but he's just at the other end of the track. I'll hear him. I'll see him in a little bit. And nothing came. I thought, okay, well, it's going to be a slow lap. He's out in the wet. Still nothing. And then I saw the red flags flashing. And I thought, well, surely not. He's the only one out on track. Maybe, don't know, maybe something else has happened. And then I saw you come around the corner. I was like, oh, he's fine. I don't know what the big issue is. And I saw you come around. I thought, oh, he's missing his headlight cover. I thought, oh, is something hanging off his bike? Oh, hang on a minute. His handlebars that's not how they were when they left. Do you want to talk us through what actually happened?
Hang on a minute. His leathers are a bit
scuffed up. It's nice shiny leathers.
It's nice brand new Alpine style suit. Yeah. I thought going out in that wet session would be a good idea, but turns out it was not. And I very quickly found the limits of physics, I think, is what I discovered.
Or they found you.
Yeah.
Again,
absolutely.
that was quite quick. We were actually quite lucky to have you had your DJI Action 4 on your little action camera documenting the whole event for us, and we've watched that back quite a few times. Now, you were coming, I can't remember any of the names of the corners, to be honest with you. You were coming around a corner.
It was the one after Agostini, I know that.
The one after Agostini.
Is it Hamilton?
It could well be Hamilton.
That fast left.
The fast left-hander. And you were banking it over, not going particularly quick, and you were just on the corner, on the on the exit of the corner, weren't you?
Yeah, I'd made it. I'd actually made it around the corner.
You've done the hard part.
I'd done the hard part. Yeah. And somehow getting back on the throttle. I mean, hey, look, it's basically a super bike, that thing.
Oh,
right?
I mean, the power, how you've controlled
No
it.
traction control, right?
Yeah.
75 horsepower.
Oof, man.
Like, it's enough to pull the skin off a rice pudding, that bike.
Well, only just, but it probably could.
And yeah, just about. And that day it pulled me off the rice pudding.
Whoa, hang on a minute, that's a different story.
Yeah, that's the uncut version. But yeah, back on the throttle and just, I don't know if it's a little bit too much throttle, a little bit too much lean. Back end came around, before I know it spat me off. And there was no saving that one.
Looking back at the footage, it's actually incredible how quickly the bike came around. The back end just seemed to spin around so fast, and it stayed upright. It did nearly a 180, nearly perfectly upright on two wheels before it actually decided to go over.
Yeah, pretty much. Just span back around, did a few pirouettes, and I slid on my hands and knees for a fair while and got up in the realisation of, oh, here we are again. This isn't the first time I've been here.
No, so again, that's a story for another podcast. You have had a couple of little incidents, shall we say, where you have ended up on the floor. Again, not out of choice. But yeah,
it's never out of choice.
No, never out of choice. But yeah, this was quite a strange one. Like I said, I know neither of us have ridden on the track in the wet up until that point. I still haven't because I'm a little girl.
I think you found your answer there.
But I'm kind of glad that I didn't, to be honest. I still want to at some point, not on my lovely Tuono, which I know is not worth a lot of money, but it's worth a lot to me. I absolutely love that bike. I don't want to chuck it down the road for something that I don't need to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Lesson learned from that one.
Lesson learned. Where to next?
Where to next?
A slurp of tea.
A slurp of tea.
My tea's gone cold.
My tea has also gone cold. So far, we've covered my...
Your intro into bikes.
My intro into bikes.
Yeah.
What about yours?
So, I have some fairly early motorbike-related memories, but they were... I think probably my earliest one was a friend of mine had, or a friend of ours, a family friend, had a bit of land and a few toys. One of them was a little 50cc twist and go motocross style thing. And I remember getting on that and ragging it around the field. I thought I was absolutely flying and I think, bloody hell, this is incredible. This feeling is great. It scared the hell out of me. Equally, I thought, oh, I'm going to scare everyone. I'm going to scare my parents. They're watching this. Watch this. And I remember flying past them thinking, oh, they were filming it and I flew past them. I watched the video back later on and just entirely the slowest thing. But that feeling of being in control of something that I thought felt like I was absolutely flying, that was probably my earliest memory of me, or probably the first time I was ever on a powered two-wheeled vehicle, I would say. Because quite like yourself, as a young kid, I never went on the back of someone else's bike. I didn't really have bikes in the family. My dad had 9 different motorbikes, all of which were Hondas when he was growing up. But that was his mode of transport at the time. Never necessarily had a passion for bikes. He liked them. He had some lovely bikes. But yeah, never passionate about bikes. It was just the way to get around back then. My next memory is probably same sort of thing. A mate had a mini moto at a farm that he owned. And I absolutely loved flying around on that thing, so much so that I now have one. Sorry, my kids have one. Definitely for the kids.
Palm that off of kids, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so same thing. It was just flying around on that, feeling like an absolute superhero. That feeling of not necessarily being in control, I quite liked pushing myself far further than I should. And I crashed it, actually, because I remember.
No.
Now, this is a bit of a story. I was talking to my friend before he sent me out on it, and he said, right, this is how you go. And if you want to stop it, then you press this button here, you press the kill switch. I'm like, okay. I misunderstood him, and I thought he meant that's how you stop. That's how you slow down.
Right, a very gradual slowdown.
Yeah, it probably would have. Well, it was a very gradual and then a very sudden slowdown because I went around a corner, coming into it a little bit too quick. I thought, oh, quick, I need to press the brake button. So I pressed the button, which naturally killed the engine. But the bike just carried on and I ended up in a pile on the floor in the grass, which luckily there was grass there. I'd gone off the concrete at this point. Actually, I'd completely forgotten about that until we started speaking about this. So that's quite a nice little memory. Moving on from there, I grew up in France where I think it's at 14 you can have a 50cc. So same thing, all the young lads were all getting their little mopeds and seeing that freedom that they had. I used to go fishing quite a lot on the river and I'd go down with my mate and see everyone ragging about all these young lads going up and down next to the river, doing little wheelies on their 50s and just they looked like they were having the absolute best time. I mean, I quite liked push biking and stuff like that, and same thing whenever I go out on my push bike, that feeling of freedom, that feeling of being able to go wherever you want and no one can really stop you. Incredible. And they had the option to do that without having to pedal, which I quite like the idea of, but equally being able to go wherever they want. They could just go for days if they wanted to and turn around as and when they felt like it. So yeah, very jealous of that. And I always thought, when I'm old enough, I'll get a moped. I'll get a moped at 14. It was very much off the cards as far as my mum was concerned. I was always told, no, you're never going anywhere near a bike. I'm not having it. And we ended up moving back to England when I was 13 anyway. So I missed the deadline because, like I was saying earlier, when you're here, it's 16. And I always thought, okay, well, maybe 16 then. Another good friend of ours, Cameron, he has always had dirt bikes. And he ended up with a little 50 on the road when he was 16. And same thing, I was so jealous of him being able to get backwards and forwards to school on his own and just be able to pop down the shops and do this and do that. I thought, what an incredible thing that he's able to do. And I went back and I hassled my mum permanently for years, and it was always no. And I think it got so much that I wore her down.
She caved
in. And when I was then 17, I said, look, I'm going to be on a bike next year regardless, because I'm a big boy. I'm an adult when I'm 18.
You're not the boss of me now.
Yeah, you're not the boss of me. I'm going to get a bike when I'm 18 anyway. And she sort of thought, well, that's kind of almost a fair enough point. And I said, you might as well let me get one now. I'm 17. I won't ride it until I'm 18. I promise. I won't ride it until I'm 18. I'll get one now. I'm 17. I'm going to be riding it soon anyway. So we did that. And then in January, so my birthday's in April. In the January beforehand, I went and did my test. And I said, look, I'll do my test, Mum. It's fine. I'm not going to ride it until I'm 18 anyway. And then obviously as soon as I did my test, I was like, well, you can't really stop me now. And I'm going to be riding it in a few months anyway. I might as well. And yeah, it went from there. So I bought myself for the grand sum of 800 British pounds, a Jinlun JL125 Texan something or other.
From wish.com.
From wish.com. And it was the jankiest little... Actually, I say that. Until I got my hands on it, it was not too bad. It was a decent little bike.
It was actually a janky bike once you got your hands on it.
It was, yeah. And ours has been every bike since I've owned it. But yeah, so that was my first bike. It was a cruiser. I don't really know why I got a cruiser. I thought they were cool. I never really had much interest in that side of things necessarily, but it was a cheap bike and I thought it was something a little bit different. So yeah, I got that. I sort of, without any mechanical knowledge whatsoever, I chopped it about. I pulled bits off it that I didn't like the look of. I took all the crash bars off it. I put different handlebars on it, changed the exhaust. My favourite mod, actually two favourite mods, the seat. I made a bit of a chopper seat. I just made it out of a skateboard. And the little tray underneath where you'd normally keep stuff, I just pushed the wheels into there and it held it quite tight. And I thought, well, perfect, this is it. I'd covered the skateboard with an old pair of jogging bottoms that I'd cut up to make some padding, and then an old fake leather jacket that I got also cut up to make the cover, and just stapled it underneath. So yeah, that was a hell of a mod. That was, I mean, top tier stuff. And then my second favourite mod is I thought, well, the next thing is obviously for a bike like this, it's got to be white walls. So
what else?
Oh, what else? Again, looking online how different people do it, what's the best way of doing it? Or you can buy special tyre paint. Oh my God, that's expensive. I'm 17. I haven't even got a proper job. I do the odd night working down the co-op.
So we just nick some Tipex from.
Well, there was a
shop.
hardware store next door. Hardware store next door, and I thought they must sell some paint. So I went and bought a tin of fence paint, and I hand painted my white walls with a tin of fence paint
And a roller.
and a roll edge. I think that was a brush actually.
brush.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm
Steady
professional. Yeah, I think I probably spun the wheels up somehow and
just
kept the
held
paintbrush still. Yeah, always ingenuitive, me.
No, absolutely.
And yeah, to be honest, from there, that's just been somehow a downward spiral. Never necessarily got anything better than that, but always bikes I found quite exciting. Like I was saying earlier, never committed to any of them. I've had supermotors to sport bikes, cruisers, little 50cc mopeds, whatever I could get my hands on that interested me at the time. Which have all led to, my current situation with my lovely little Tuono, which I've actually done quite well with. I've had it for over a year now. That's not bad going for me, as you well know, Owen.
That is very well going for you.
It must have struck a chord somewhere.
Yeah.
I do absolutely love that bike. And although at one point I was thinking about swapping it for a Millie, because we're doing more and more track riding at the moment.
And they're a beast.
Obviously you've
As I'll find out. I say that, I don't know yet.
Now, I roped you into getting your Millie.
You did somewhat. You are liable for that.
If I'm not good for anything else, I'm always going to be in a bad influence.
Yeah.
And I think I've done that with you. This Millie came up through a friend of ours who mentioned that this one was for sale. Now, like I said, I already had my Tuono at this point. You had your MT.
I did.
You were looking at the ideas, toying with the idea of a CBR 600RR?
Yeah, I've always liked the idea of a 600 sports bike for track bike. And for a while now, I've been toying between a CBR 600 or a Triumph Daytona 675. And then this Millie came up and it was a really good price. It had some really nice bits on it. It's got Öhlins shock. It's had the front forks sorted. And just some bits here and there, and it was just a good deal.
Now, when you saw the first pictures of it, you thought, okay, all right. So there's a bit of history behind this bike. It has been down the road, and it's had a low side at Snetterton in a bit of a, let's not say a fireball, but it got a bit warm, didn't it? True to Millie form, early Millie form with the petrol tanks that are made of steel. The drain hoses corrode.
Yep, hoses perish.
Yeah, which means that basically over time, eventually fuel starts spilling out onto the hot exhaust and onto the floor in front of your rear tyre, which is what happened with this one, and it spun him off. Now, they're the pictures that you saw of the bike, and you saw a picture of it when it was all together in its road form, and we thought, oh, great, it's all together, it's all there. When we turned up, it wasn't actually quite the same story, was it?
Not quite. It was somewhat a rolling chassis with an engine and a garage full of bits, I think is what we can describe it as.
Yes.
A lot of shells worth of parts. So we had a look round. I was happy with it. I shook his hand on it and we swapped cash.
Do you want to say how much cash? Because it's still quite a bloody good deal.
700 Great British pounds.
For a classic, amazing super sport bike, I think they were classed as back in the day.
Yeah.
With an Öhlins rear shock, the incredible Rotax V twin engine, and a box of bits that would hopefully take you around Snetterton at quite a pace.
Yeah, absolutely. A box of road bits as well. So it's
which are worth.
It's a full road bike conversion worthy.
Yeah, which you're toying with the idea of doing at the moment, and whether you keep that stuff or whether you maybe flog it, because some of them bits, headlights and whatnot, are worth actually a fair sum of money. We didn't actually mention the exhaust that you got on it as well. No,
so it has got, and this is
for the Aprilia nerds out there,
cherry on top.
Yep.
It's got the Aprilia Racing titanium twin shotguns exhaust,
which are stunning.
They are beautiful. They would be slightly more beautiful if they hadn't been involved in the raging inferno fireball accident.
Yeah, unfortunately, the exhaust come out on the right hand side. That's the side that the bike went down on, which is typical because they are in good condition. They're beautiful, beautiful pipes. You're talking with the idea of getting them sorted, getting them fixed?
Yeah, I think we'll get them. I think they're worthy. They deserve to be sorted.
I think so.
They deserve to be restored.
Now, the only issue we've got is, again, as I was saying earlier, we're getting more and more into our track days. You ran it up at Griff's when we were there the other day, and they're not quiet.
I think if I remember correctly, Griff saying, "There's no way in hell that's getting through noise testing."
That sounds like that could have been his exact words. Yeah.
So, we might have to rethink that one, or stuff some cotton wool down the end of the pipes, or something like that. But
yeah, do a bit of jiggery pokery. I mean, maybe once they've been rebuilt, once they've been repacked, hopefully that should quieten down a little bit. We'll have to see. We'll see how that goes. But I think if nothing else, they deserve to be hung up on the wall with a light above them. Looking beautiful.
They do. Framed and hung on the wall, definitely. They are nice. And they are, as we said, worth a bit of money. But do you know what? They would look really nice on the wall. So we'll get those ones sorted and figure that one out. But yeah, that bike is coming along. It's coming along nicely. It needed a new loom. So the wiring loom was damaged in the fire. I bought a second-hand wiring loom and swapped that over. And then started building it all back up again. Radiator, oil cooler, coils, it was missing all of those bits, so building all those back up again. And do you know what, with a new battery, it started up first time on the button, so
which is so unbelievable considering what it's been through. And this, should we also add, is your first ever proper sort of big bike project, isn't it? It's your biggest project that you've had so far, which I think was a bit daunting for you when we saw a box of bits.
It was, compared to the photos that I had signed myself up for, and this bike looks, this is a fully built bike for £700. Let's get involved with that. And,
now let's not make any mistake. This wasn't that we've been had. We haven't been conned with this situation.
No, absolutely not. Do you know what? It ended up being an absolute steal, and the guy I bought it off is a solid guy, and he has absolutely sold me a really good bike. So no, I'm looking forward to getting it sorted. Now it's running, it runs sweet, and I think I think it will actually be a good bike.
I think so too. I mean, Griff was very impressed. He said you've got an absolute bargain for the money that you spent for it, and like you say, it runs sweet, especially now it's had a little bit of a tune up from the man himself. So yeah, it's a great little bike. Should we leave it there?
How long we can. It's probably.
You sound like you want to keep talking. I don't want to stop you. We've been going for 45 minutes of recording so far, which I say that a lot of that was. Should we call it a false start?
I think a false start is a fair way of describing it.
A few false starts.
We
had a few attempted intros to the video.
Starts.
Yeah, not necessarily the smoothest thing. But hey, look, we're chatting now.
Go on the flow of it.
Go on the flow. Good. Flow state. That's what you called.
Flow state, baby. Yeah. No.
Well, I want to say thank you to anyone that's actually stuck around and listened to this whole podcast. Don't know why you would, but thank you if you have.